and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Fortress, and joining me today, you couldn't imagine there being more than one of him, Sweet John Zagovac from the internet.
Well, as that girl in 6th grade said, thank God there's only one.
Oof, you couldn't handle more of them. That's the problem. And we couldn't handle having Bruce Leslie here again this week because he is out with his family, and it's disgusting to see how much fun and everything him and his family is having on Facebook. It makes me so mad. I'm like, oh, look at him going down to Fremont Street in Vegas. They're out at the flipping Grand Canyon and everything. Oh, Bruce loves his family. Good for you, Bruce. So gross. And we'll see him back here next week, thanks heavens. Because the comic book connection this week might be a little bit light. But we'll work on all that, because this week, everybody, we are talking about The One. And who told us to watch this? That's right, the people that support this show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those intrepid listeners get the pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and of course get to choose a movie that we watch every single month. Here were the movies this week, this month rather. Secretly superhero movies coming in at a paltry last place for all three tie for last place.
Oh, wow.
Between Lazarus, Mortal, and Parallel. Apparently, that's a no-go on those.
Okay, great.
So
great.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to see those. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, we kind of engineered this well enough. We were like, here's the thing. We got two, and those were the two that were really in the competition there, which was Push and The One. But The One won over. So this 2001 Jet Li romp will be the movie that we're covering this week. So if you would like to choose what movie we watch and all that kind of good stuff and help support this show, just imagine if every Monday morning we show, you got down your little podcast thing there, you open that bad boy up, you scroll and you're like, where's HMP? What's going on? Where are they at? Oh, we went away. We just disappeared. What would you pay to get us back? If it's $1, throw $1 our way. The best part is whatever value that you land on that, you guys get all the stuff that's, everything. And we just want to thank you guys for supporting this show. And of course, with next week being the start of the month, we'll talk about all the executive producers and all that kind of good stuff. And if any of those folks want to give shout-outs to their shows or any other projects and stuff, you know where to hit us up. Patreon.com/HMP. That is it for that. Let me get into it because I didn't want to put in a full trailer this week for The One, the Jet Li movie from 2001. But when I played the movie, I was like, this is the perfect trailer because they tell you everything in there without getting too trailery. You know what I'm saying? So here is the opening for The One.
There is not one universe. There are many. A multiverse. We have the technology to travel between universes, but travel is highly restricted and policed. There is not one you. There are many. Each of us exists in present time in parallel universes. There was balance in the system, but now a force exists who seeks to destroy the balance so that he can become the One.
Oh, and then you got like a very Halo kind of sounding soundtrack there in the background. Well, he is not here this week, but I suppose we'll do our best.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
I want to start this off by saying I've been very busy today. I recorded a podcast with a friend of mine and everything. I'll plug that at the end of the show. So I didn't get a chance to do a super great comic book connection today. However, there was a comic called The One. Were you aware of this?
I did not know that.
It was distributed by Epic Comics between 1985 and 1986. Was written and drawn by Rick Veitch. I don't know. The cover looks like a cereal box. That's about all I really know on that one. Now, there's a lot of multiverse stuff going on. Of course, we live in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, which is going through its own multiverse in so many different ways. And, of course, with all the things that were announced at Comic-Con this past weekend, Lord knows there's enough multiverse stuff to go around forever and a day here. So we're all quite familiar with that.
They're literally calling it the Multiverse Saga where we're at right now.
Yeah. So it all runs together. And again, this is why we have to have Bruce back on this show, because I don't have time to write all this kind of good stuff out. But I do have a prepared statement talking about all of the cool things that you will see in this show. So thank you, Adam, for that amazing comic book connection. I wrote that last week. I feel like it still applies this week. So let me tell everybody about this sucker, because it's got everything. We've got Jet Li. We've got Jason Statham and Delroy Lindo, both with hair. Watch out. Carlo Gugino is here, and that's really all the reason that you need to watch this sucker. We got Al Gore as president, which is hilarious. Even more hilarious, GW signs of universal health care. Nice to see them making fun of both sides. Very nice. We've got bad future cops, steel bar kicking, untold number of bullets. The amount of bullets in this film is unbelievable. Flashlights on guns, futuristic guns. We've got let the bodies hit the floor, super fast running, meat shields, bridge jumping, generic 2000s rock. A car chase on foot, police car smashing, bad future tech, body disintegrating lawnmower man style. We got spacesuits that only Devo could love. One of my favorite lines in this movie, the line has run out. And the other one is, there's never been anything like what I've become. You've been there. Which I'm like, what? Wall punching. We got down with the sickness, hedge jumping, cheap jewelry, CT scans. Boo! Good stuff there. You know him, you love him. Mark Coven Borchardt is in this movie. Unbelievable. Kmart
Crazy.
Stephen Lang. We got great value Miguel Ferrer, Tony Orlando, and Dawn. We got a corner van drifting, headbutting, midair kicking, motorcycle throwing, guest appearance by Ron Popeil, responsible gun ownership, running around with abandoned factories. This sucker's got everything.
If you really love nu metal, this is the movie for you. Because the worst thing about this movie is the soundtrack.
Oh, it's so great, but it's so great in the worst way.
that is terrible, as is the blue light that is everywhere in this movie. Because it was made in the early 2000s, and that's what we did then.
Well, we just threw blue lights on stuff, and everybody was like, that's from another world or another time.
This sure does look futuristic.
Mm-hmm. Feels sci-fi to me, what with the blue light and all.
Everything is blue everywhere all the time. Our source lights are blue. Our Klieg lights are blue. Everything's blue. So like I know that you are far more adept at Chinese cinema, but more specifically martial arts movies.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as Jet Li goes, where is he with you?
Okay. Very good question, because so many people that I remember talking to over the years are like, if you go, who's your favorite martial artist? You know, martial arts movie actor, whatever. The majority of people out there's default will go to Bruce Lee.
Sure, because he was the first American.
Yeah, the first real big American, boom of everything. And so that's the one that people go. And I listen, I like Bruce Lee well enough. But Jet Li is where it's at for me. He kind of took everything that Bruce Lee did and just like amped it up to 11. I think he was from a cinema perspective, he's a far more interesting martial artist to watch than Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's stuff to me was always kind of, and now granted, it was based upon the economy of movement and stuff. So his stuff is not meant to be overly flashy for the most part. Jet Li's stuff is a little bit more flashy. It is a bit more from the wushu kind of, style and everything. So it makes a lot more sense. The big thing for me, though, is the difference between Hong Kong Jet Li films and American Jet Li films. Jet Li never really made the proper transition from Asian cinema to American cinema. He's been in plenty of things, yes. Has he gotten like that kind of lead charismatic thing that Jackie Chan gets? No. He never really got there because for my money, his English acting just isn't there. He's never really been able to grasp that and just empower through it. Because there's some points in here where like there's so much ADR and stuff going on that it's like sometimes it's like, oh well, that's clearly his voice. I know what he sounds like, and other times you're like, I don't think Jet Li said those words. I think somebody else dubbed that stuff in. But he never really quite made that transition, because I watched the American films like this one, and I think to myself, I'm like, I know he's a better actor than this. And
so you think it's a language thing?
I really think it's a language thing, because he's a much better actor in the other movies. It just feels like he's more comfortable in his own skin. Obviously, it's his first language, and you would be, right?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that it never really translates out, and they didn't quite give him the material that he needed to truly flourish with. Now, like really cool stuff like that.
Hold on, sure. Because I'm going to stop you there, because clearly there was someone behind him, like, hey, let's give him the best shot we possibly can by putting him in, at the time, which was it seems impossible now, but a gigantic movie like Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah. Putting
him in that movie was literally like a launch pad for him. And I don't know who made that happen. I don't know if he's like Richard Donner saw him and was like, hey, let's make this guy a star. I don't know the answer to that, but they really did give him every opportunity to be able to be a big deal here.
Oh yeah. He got plenty of stuff, but like I really think it comes down to he never got grasp enough of the language to really make that solid transition. Now, when you do smart things like limit his roles in American films, like as to what he can do, he really flourishes. And yes. There's a movie called it's originally called Danny the Dog. It's called Unleashed here in America, where he is this kind of captor who is wearing this dog collar all the time, and he's in underground fights and stuff. So when the collar comes off, he goes ape and just goes bananas. So once the collar's back on him, then he goes back to docile, regular kind of human being and stuff. That sort of role where he's, for lack of it is true, kind of dehumanized to where he's not saying a whole lot. He's very quiet. He's reserved. That's part of the character. That kind of stuff works for him. Making him the lead in a movie like this, unfortunately, with his English, he just doesn't have enough to really be that awesome leading man. Now, for example... I want to tell you something that I found out looking in a quick cursory search for this sucker, is that at some point they were going to get, I think, The Rock actually to be in this role.
Oh, wow, really?
It's either The Rock or one of those, just one of those are, I forget, I'm going to have to look it up again because I read it at some point, but I think it was like The Rock was initially supposed to, be in this movie. Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was supposed to be in the Jet Li role. Now, he had not obviously...
in 2001, he's not putting butts in seats.
No. And here's the thing. I don't know. Well, let me see what this sucker made all told here. Budget was $49 million, box office 74, so just barely okay by most standards.
Yeah. I'm surprised with the craft that's in this movie. It's one of the things that surprised me, where they take the time to show you, it's, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is some amazing movie, but there are moments in it where it was like, oh, hey, they're actually doing something here that's neat. Like having those moments, like the ring, his ring finger, things like that, or like everything kind of ties into each other, there's a lot of bits like that in this movie, which I was completely surprised by because I didn't expect it to be there, quite honestly. I this moment in time for action movies, that mid-tier action movie, there is a whole lot of crap. And so for this to be as thoughtful, I guess is the right word, as thoughtful as it is, I was very surprised by it. There's certain aspects to it. There's certain things like having him train you, like you see him training all the time. The character that's the good Jet Li, like seeing him train and things like that. And it's like, oh, well, like all of this makes sense later in the movie. Like they're setting all of this up to pay off later. And it does. And it's really thoughtful. I mean, it is. They don't have to do that. The people who are going to see this movie are 13-year-old boys and 50-year-old divorced dads. Like that's who's going to see this movie.
While watching this movie, all I could think was, this is the most dad TNT movie on a Sunday there could ever be. You know, if you walked in on any dad on a Sunday watching TNT, the one is going to be on, and he'd be loving it. He'd love it. He's like, this is so good. And commercial breaks, I can get up, get myself a little drink. We're good to go. I love it.
So my next question for you, because this is a really big one, is Jason Statham trying to do an American accent in this movie?
I don't know what it is.
Because he's not being as Cockney as he usually is.
No, I don't know that. Okay, I'd have to look at the filmography, but I don't know that Jason Statham at this point is Jason Statham. I don't know if Jason Statham would recognize Jason Statham in the mirror, if you know what I'm saying.
He's already been in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which is, one of the coolest movies ever made. And so
he wasn't in Lock, Stock. He wasn't in Lock, Stock. He was only in Snatch.
Oh, really? He's not in Lock, Stock?
I'm like 99. Now you got me double guessing, but I don't think so. I don't think now. Oh, damn. Now I'm going to look foolish.
I'm looking it up.
I won't edit it
talking.
out. But, yeah, he just he hadn't got that one big thing just yet. Of course he is. He's in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
But no Transporter yet. I think Transporter would probably come in the next year.
Well, he had already been in, because in 98 he's in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. 2000 he's in Snatch. He's a known thing at this point.
Yeah, he should be bigger than this then. Yeah, he should be bigger and better than this.
He's in the same year he's in Ghost of Mars and The One.
All right, so he wasn't hitting him out of the park all the time.
But what basically
the phrase Jason Statham could do no wrong was not one that was bandied about in 2000.
Well, no one has ever said that. But so to go backwards on the original question is Jason Statham trying to do an American accent in this movie? Because I think he is. I think that he is trying his best to do an American accent here. Or at least, at the very least, having, I'll give him this. Let's say he's doing an Atlantic accent where, it's like a kind of an international thing, like Katharine Hepburn kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where you're
not quite
British
sure where I'm
American.
from, but it's a place that's somewhere in some time.
There's something happening and you don't know who I am.
But you put it together because you're smart, right. Like me.
So you have that, right? But it's not that. It's clearly not that.
No.
But is that what he's going for, or is he going for full American? Because whatever it is, it's not working.
I will say, I want it to be that this was his. Listen, I spent a lot of time with a dialect coach on this one because I feel like at this point in my career, it's time for me to kind of, stretch my wings a little bit and become more than just this tough British gangster kind of guy. I feel like I'm going to be pigeonholed and no one's going to really take me seriously outside of, these punching and kicking roles and stuff. So with The One, I kind of wanted to branch out a little bit and, sow my oats a little bit and just kind of explore the space of what it really meant to be an actor. This is what I think Jason Statham thinks.
Jet Li gets to play two different roles, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Let me try an American accent.
The least that I can do is be allowed to spread my wings and fly. Why do you not want me to fly? This is all Jason Statham's inner monologue.
He has the same scowl on his face that he has in every movie. It's the reason why he is basically Great Britain's version of The Rock, where it's the exact same performance in every single thing he does, and that's fine.
Yeah,
you can be that guy.
Yeah,
you can be that guy. It's just and he's made the reason why I have a problem with The Rock and I don't have a problem with Jason Statham is that it feels like I know for a fact Jason Statham has made some good movies. Like we just mentioned two of them, Snatch.
Yeah.
And Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Underrated Jason Statham movie that I tell everybody to watch because they probably haven't seen it is The Bank Job.
The Italian Job.
No, The Bank Job.
Oh, because I love The Italian Job.
Italian Job's good too. Don't get me wrong.
As a matter of fact, I prefer that, which I'm sure is making people just absolutely want to murder me. I prefer the remake to the original.
Agreed.
I've seen both.
Agreed.
And maybe it's because I saw the remake first, but I do prefer it.
Is that Louis Leterrier that did that one, or was it or Doug Liman? It's either one of those. One of those, I think. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
I'm playing movie trivia with myself.
All right. So so to get back to it, right? So to see him in this movie, to see him trying to do an American accent, and he does have screen presence. He is a factor in this.
They build him much like, honestly, he's the de facto second lead in this, I think.
Oh, really? It's not Delroy Lindo?
I think they don't lean on Lindo enough, in my opinion.
Well,
now he's the lead of those two. Like, he's the guy that's in charge of those two. But as far as like the person who I think has the second most lines in this film, feel like it's got to be Statham.
You know, Delroy Lindo is one of those actors he's an amazing actor. He is horrible in real life, by the way, just so everybody knows. He is a terrible person in real life, but he is a great actor, and I love seeing him in things. And I think he's terrific in just about everything he does. And he does that thing that all really good actors can do, which is he adds gravitas to a role that in whatever role he's in.
Oh, yeah.
You take that character far more serious than like if Mark Wahlberg was playing Delroy Lindo's role, you wouldn't care so much.
He's got one of those just great faces.
He does.
He's just
and that
like
voice.
that
Voice.
It's like he exudes like I am in charge 100%. Like, you know, like if there's a battle to be going into and Delroy Lindo's like, I got the plan, you'd be like, I'm following this guy. He seems like he knows what's up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I love seeing both of these guys with hair. It's so great.
It is. And it reminds you that, this was 20 years ago.
Hey, like Statham looks like a kid. He looks like he's 30.
I know.
Unreal.
Really
it's just like, look at it. It looks like a child. Honestly, the best thing that he could do is go all the way with that Shorn stuff, because it makes you look so much more of a BA.
Man. It's the only way to go. It took Travolta forever to learn that. We're like, dude, stop wearing the wigs. Just shave your head. You're going to look way cooler.
I think it's cool.
And, there's a couple surprises in this. Like you were saying that seeing Jason Statham with hair is a surprise. And it is. But like seeing a pre-Breaking Bad Hank in this movie at the beginning of the movie, that was cool to see. Or like there's all of those character actors that you forget that I forget used to be in every single movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is chock-a-block full with all of those great character actors where you're just like, oh, I know who that dude is. I know who that guy is. I've seen him in a gajillion things. You won't know their names, but you will definitely recognize so many faces from 8 billion movies and TV shows from this film.
Yeah, and it's kind of the secret joy of this movie for me, because there are times in this watching this where I was like, okay, so there's a mouse coming out of her heel of her shoe. Okay.
What a wild, stupid idea, but it's kind of great.
Yes, it is great.
It's but like he's got like a what was tied to the mouse?
It was some sort of like remote
like electrical
antenna
thing that shocks people or something. I don't know what's going on, but it comes out of a heel of a shoe, and it's just like, okay, this movie we could do anything in here. And that point, the time travel or the multiverse travel doesn't seem like too far of a stretch when a mouse is coming out of a lady's heel.
Well, the best part of that entire scene isn't the mouse coming out of the heel. It is the one guy at the prison. He's a prison guard, I think, who notices the mouse and immediately knows that mouse is a bomb. That is the best part of that.
I've seen this before. The dreams are all coming true.
Yes, he is not like, oh, there's a mouse in here. Let me get that out of here. It is immediately he knows that it is some sort of explosive device and he's got to get out.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, how old is Jet Li in this movie? Is he in his 40s or in his 50s at this point?
He's probably late 40s here, I'd say.
63, 2001. He's almost 40 in this movie.
Okay.
'Cause I was just wondering because I have a very hard time telling with rich Asian people how old they are.
Oh yeah.
And so I could not tell how old he was because you could have told me that he was, like, oh, he's 60 years old in this movie.
Yeah, he's
and
either 27 or
yeah.
67, and you'd buy either one of them. You'd go like, okay.
It's kind of the Jackie Chan-ness of it all, where, like Jackie Chan looks the exact same from a movie that you see in the late 70s to a movie that he made last year. It's like that kind of thing.
Like, oh, he's got like 10 years worth of age on him, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Whereas, so I can't tell. And so speaking of Jet Li, by the way, and I've always, this might be considered racist. I don't know. Maybe if I phrase this wrong, but I mean nothing by it. I always thought of Jet Li as like the dark mirror image of Jackie Chan, where, they're both amazing at what they do. They both clearly, like, Jet Li does not come first from a martial arts background. He clearly comes from a dance background like Jackie Chan did. Mm. And so, like, just because of his movements, you can tell that. But like, there's also like this, like, overwhelming anger that I feel every time I see him. I mean, emanating out of the man.
No, I understand what you're saying. Jackie Chan exudes joy.
Yes.
In all of his stuff, whereas Jet Li exudes more anger and angst and stuff within his, setup and fighting and all that kind of stuff.
Even in this movie where he is supposed to be like the happy-go-lucky one, he's not. He's like, it feels like he has a haunted past that he's trying to hide from everyone in this movie.
He still feels very depressed.
Yes. And so I always think of these two guys and I know it's unfair because they come from the same part of the world and they both come from the same background, but it's like they kind of are the mirror images of each other, where, like, one is like, oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in a martial arts movie. And then you see a Jet Li movie and you're like, I have never seen an arm break that way before. That is insane.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. Because these two actually share a little bit of a similar lineage when it comes to martial arts films. And their connecting piece that goes between the two of them is a little man named Yen Wu-ping.
Okay.
Yen Wu-ping would that I think most of the things that people would recognize, that name from, and where he got a super giant name in America, was he was the martial arts choreographer on The Matrix.
Okay.
That's where everybody kind of was like, oh, okay, here's where we discovered this guy. And like me, you obviously work backwards from there and find out the other stuff. So turns out one of Jackie Chan's first, really big movies and stuff was directed by Yen Wu-ping, called Drunken Master. And it's an amazingly good movie. And it really helped, I think. If you look at Yen Wu-ping's work over the years and then watch Jackie Chan's work, there's so much stuff in there that parallels, because I think Jackie took a lot from his time working with Yen Wu-ping, learning especially how he uses the environment a lot within fights and stuff like that. You see a lot of that within like Iron Monkey, for example, where there's something around the room. We're using whatever is in this room as a weapon, as a thing. Again, these big, giant, great dance numbers essentially done via martial arts. And so he's had that kind of style and everything. And then the exact same thing happens with Yen Wu-ping was a fight choreographer on a lot of early Jet Li films as well. So I feel like a lot of their while their fighting styles aren't necessarily quite the same in any way, a lot of the feel where I think you're probably getting that, opposite side of the coin dichotomy with these two is that they come from a lot of that similar sort of, Yen Wu-ping root and everything. And I feel once you kind of work with that guy, it looks like even if you, I don't want to say disassociate, but don't necessarily work with him again, there's some of him that is still lingering around in your work because he was as influential as he was within, the martial arts, movie community and stuff.
It sounds a little bit like this guy, Yen Wu-ping, is a little bit like Henry Avery Do you know who Henry Avery is?
Not
I don't know why I said that. You're not going to know it from name alone. So Henry Avery is basically the most successful pirate ever.
Okay.
The problem is that he doesn't have an awesome nickname.
I was about to say, no real good pirate name there, huh?
No, he's not like your Calico Jacks, your Blackbeards. Like he doesn't have a name like that. He's just Henry Avery. The thing is that Henry Avery is actually the most successful, greatest pirate to ever live. And I had never heard of this guy until recently. And so basically he is on a ship that is a privateer ship, and he gets tired of his captain. And so he's like, Captain, I've taken over the ship. And then the guys are like, well, we'll see about that. The guys are with me, and they are not. And so the captain and 16 of the guys are jettisoned off to like a local island somewhere. They take control. Henry Avery takes control of the ship. They immediately go from privateers to pirates. They start attacking anyone that they think has enough money. And I'm not like, you should not look up to this man in any way. He was involved in the slave trade. He raped and murdered many, many people. He is an awful, awful human being. He is the most successful pirate ever. And here is why, is that he stole from the British Indian
Tea Company.
Company. He stole from two ships. They made, like, at the time, he cleared over something like $250,000 at the time.
Yeah.
And then he knew the heat was on after that, and the man just disappears and no one ever saw him again. His first mate gets captured and murdered. 3 other guys from his crew are captured and murdered because they didn't do what he said, which was, it is time to hide, gentlemen. Let's never be heard of again. And Henry Avery, completely, no one ever saw that dude again. He is the most successful pirate of all time. And I was like, holy cow.
Little do people know that a long descendant of his, Kenny Rogers, knowing when to hold him, knowing when to fold him, knowing when to walk away and run. So you just put it all together. Also known for getting involved in the slave trade and rape and murder. It happens. We all heard Coward of the County. We know how that works. And he killed those dudes. You're like, what? Jeez Louise, what a turn for this song. Let's talk a little bit about the writers and director of this, because I think a lot of where you're kind of getting the interesting stuff that you found in this film comes from this team of the writing team of Glenn Morgan and James Wong being the director of this film. Now, previous to this, James Wong has worked on The X-Files, and his previous movie to this was Final Destination, which was obviously a big hit. And Final Destination was an X-Files script originally. So he'd kind of grown up and everything and had all of this kind of sci-fi background and all that kind of good stuff. Glenn Morgan, same sort of deal. I think Glenn Morgan, if I'm not mistaken, also wrote on The X-Files as well.
He did, yes.
So with those two guys coming out of like X-Files land and everything, I think that's why the science fiction element of this lands as well as it does. However, I also think that with James Wong, while I like his stuff, I don't know that he's the right action director for this film.
I agree with you. Where in his career is Dragon Ball Z Evolution? Is it kind of after this?
That's kind of the Wong downswing, if you will.
Yes.
He's got a couple, like, it's good. I think he had Final Destination 1 and 3. This is just going from rote. I'm not sure what his next one was after that, but I think Dragon Ball was not too long after that, and it kind of just started going, wah, wah. He's done some TV and stuff now, so I feels like that 911 show, I guess that's out. I don't, I'm not 60, so I don't watch network television.
Sure, I don't watch CBS at all either.
So, but he's still out there getting some work, so that's good.
Yeah, it's great.
But I think he's very competent, but like, again, I wish he would have written this and perhaps someone else direct it, because while it's competently directed, it doesn't have that je ne sais quoi. There's something that's just missing, and you can't quite put your finger on it. You could easily write it off as Jet Li's acting is just not there, and it doesn't kind of complete the circle, if you will. But I think it really comes down to the action directing is far more boring than it should be.
And not only that, you're right. You are right. There's no dynamism to the action choreography and direction here. But the other thing too is there isn't that moment in this movie where you're like, wow. Mm-hmm. Like there's not a single moment, and I know that they really want I just picked up two motorcycles and smooshed a guy in between the both of them.
Yeah,
to be that moment, but that does not have the same effect.
It's not registered. It's not shot. Like there are certain moments exactly like that one where you're just like, you should show this as the hero shot. Now let's subtract a couple weeks and look at RRR. Like there are comic book panel moments of that movie that are just like, listen, we're slowing this bad boy down to show you how beautiful and awesome that this thing is that you're looking at right now. There's a lot of like slowdown and stuff, but like
at the wrong time.
To what end?
I take RRR for a second, right? That moment where the truck comes in and spins sideways, and all the animals leap out of cages,
and everything's on
and
fire.
He's on the top of them, and everything's on fire. It is one of the coolest things that you'll see this year. Versus a guy who can basically do anything, although it's ill-defined because at some points, he can pick up motorcycles, but if he gets punched right, he also falls to the ground. So what is it going to be?
There needed to be some kind of rules or limitations or something involved in it that made the story. And I like the idea. Like, this is a really neat one. And I think the idea that really cements this all together is the fact that we've got all these multiverses and everything. There's all these versions of you. And if one of you decided, and you know that you can jump multiverses, as we heard in the kind of beginning there, you can jump through all of these things to go through, kill one of your, doppelgangers, one of your other multiverse personalities, and then you absorb all of their kind of abilities and it goes across the spectrum to all the people. That's a really neat, interesting idea that they play with enough, but maybe not enough to where
they don't. There's literally, you're literally in 3 different universes in this movie, and barely. You're in 3 different places, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no jumping around. There's not a lot going on, but like it feels like there was a jumping off point there for something to be interesting and unique about this. Of like all of a sudden, like think about Anything Everywhere All at Once, right? Mm-hmm. Another kind of multiverse movie. Mm-hmm. Slight spoilers for some of that movie, but my
favorite movie this year, by the way.
Yeah, I think I'm on the exact same boat. But when you can kind of go through and more or less live those other lives, if you will, and gain that knowledge, that information, the ability to do those things, that could be explored here really well. And they just kind of leave it. It's dangling there a little bit, and they get different abilities, but like it doesn't feel like they iron it out enough to make you be invested in that enough.
It's ill-defined. And the other part too is that, they kind of try to fake you out with all of the other versions of himself that he's murdered. And so you get the moment that I'm sure everyone was laughing at when you're 13 years old, which is Jet Li wearing all the different wigs.
It's cute and fun in that like 13-year-old ha 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 sort of way.
Right.
Where it's just like, and here's this one, and there's this version. It looked like they all look like K-pop members.
Yes.
Like here's all the cute little outfits that we made Jet Li wear. It's just like, here's the tough one. Here's the sensitive guy. This one's got a blonde wig on. Isn't it cute? And you're like, I don't know, kind of. It's kind of cute. but it's so silly. The future itself, I don't particularly care for like super bright, clean futures and stuff all the time. Every room that we go in looked like it was just freshly made.
That's
that
again
afternoon.
that's again that 2000 aesthetic where, you know, again, everything has that blue tint to it, and everything is brand new, and everything is the coolest, whether you're in a hospital or you're at their house.
We're pulling out
wherever
weird
you are.
little cell phones and odd technology and stuff that just looks. Like the fonts. I don't know why the fonts on everything bug the crap out of me, but it's like the numbers counting down and any font that was on a futuristic thing, I'm just like, this is bull crap. It was so bad. I'm just like, nuh-uh, you ain't playing this game. And then 3, 2, 1. Guess what, kids? We're playing some Disturbed.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. When he gets into the coroner's van and he's listening around for some music, I find it very hard to believe that Jet Li would land on some new metal crap and go, oh, this is good.
Wouldn't it?
Get
Now,
out of here.
Here's the thing. A better movie. Maybe a better movie. Just because I just thought, I'm like, is it a better movie? But it might be. I think a better movie, that scene goes on for at least 2 or 3 minutes. We go through a couple of different choices and him really just kind of just ironing it out. Like I said, Tony Orlando and Dawn is in there. Why wasn't he singing along to that for about 4 seconds? Come on. You're going to give me a little tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree and you're not going to be jamming along to that. You'd rather jam along to some band that, like, honestly, I think that one, whatever one he landed on there, was not one of the ones that had successful songs and everything in the future. Because there's a couple of those that are in there that you're like, oh, that band had a couple of hits and stuff like that. And that's fine. But that was one of the ones where you're just like, no, I don't know what that is. No one knows what that is. But the best part is when Delroy Lindo is in the back of the van with his futuristic gun, which, by the way, let's talk about futuristic guns for half a second. All the blue lights. Why in the hell do you have these blue lights on your gun? Why? What is the point? I know it's futuristic, but it's so stupid. It's
so
blinking. It's all over the place. You don't need this. It's so bad. But he's in the back and he's pointing his gun at him. He's just like, that's it. That's the end of the line for you, sucker. Something like that. And Jet Li's character goes, oh, man, and just when I found the best thing in the world, or whatever he basically said.
Goes, just when I found something in this universe that I like.
I like this music, this new metal crap that just sucks so hard. And he's just like, I hate this whole world. I hate this universe. Humanity's a plague on society. However, this new metal stuff's pretty sweet, and I could kind of get used to this world.
This sweet track from Unobtainable is perfect.
Oh, it's so great. But the best part is like when it's not even like the hit makers, it's just generic new metal kind of rock in the background where it's just like, oh, the person whoever wrote the score for this had to write this too. That's a sad
yeah, there's some of that happening. Let's, if you're okay with it, let's skip to the end because it's one of the things that is really good about this movie, in my opinion, is that, and I'm not talking about like leading up to the end. I mean, the very end of it where he's in the universe where everything's a dystopian hellscape and he's on the top of what appears to be an Incan pyramid.
Yeah, something from like Alien or Predator, like the Predator series or something like that. It looks like Predator Land.
Right. And you see that he's about to get swarmed by some people and he's kicking the crap out of them, but they just keep pulling back and it's just massive amounts of people and they keep pulling back and he's still kicking their butt and they keep pulling back. It was one of those things where I was like, oh, that's a really nice touch. Like, they're not saying whether he got murdered or not, or whether he's murdered every single person in this universe, but it is a really good way to end this.
I love the guts that it takes to be the brand new guy. You've been there for literally 4 seconds, and you turn around and just be like, okay, everybody, I want y'all to listen up here. There's a new man in charge around here, and his name's me. You wanna have a little go at it? Let's have it. I'm gonna stand at the top here and beat the ever-living snot out of every single one of you that comes up here. I don't care how many of you come. I'm it. Let's go. Starting now.
You need to watch out for me. Yeah, I don't need to watch out for you. You need to
Yeah,
watch
he
out
goes
for
Rorschach on everybody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of great. I love that. And
Yeah.
you're right. It's like part of you wants to go, why wasn't this part of the jump off? Why wasn't this could be an angle in the movie or something like that?
me. Yeah, like what if he comes from here?
Yeah, he's
You
been
know?
battling all this way, and this is how he's like, earned these powers or something like that. Is he's had to, I don't know. There could be so many other things, but like it ends in a spot where like I'm surely they, if this had been super successful, could have done a sequel or something like that. But
Well, they definitely wanted there to be one.
I feel
because
like it.
you have good Jet Li ending up at Back to the Future 2, and then you have bad Jet Li in like we said on top of an Incan pyramid.
I love those. I love the suit guys. I love all the suits. The guys that are strapping them in there, and the like the Devo suits. It's so great. Just the design on everything. I just want to pause it and look at it forever because it's this great amalgamation of just we stitched a whole lot of crap together, and this is kind of what we came up with. But we also did it like 15 times, so like we kind of got good at it. So it looks good, but it is like this ball of yarn put together, and they're like, "There you go, that's a costume. Shut up."
Look, we didn't know that James Wong was going to say yes to this because this was a joke that we came up with. Really,
he was super passionate about it. He's just like, "Guys, this is it." Like,
you nailed it.
Oh crap, we got to do this 15 times. Like, can we use other angles and stuff? You got CGI budget in this bad boy where we can double these things up because that's a lot of work for us to do. Overall, though, like I think the biggest problem with the movie is that like it's the sci-fi element isn't quite worked out as well as it should be, and it's close, but it's not quite there. And the fact that
this movie also
Jet Li's acting is just all over the place. It can't work that well.
And a movie like this needs at least 3 moments where you're like, wow. And it doesn't have that. It doesn't have one.
Yeah. They make you think like, oh, well, there's sparks coming down in this fight scene. That's enough to make it awesome, right? Like, no, it's not actually.
I mean, it's the thing where, like Predator. Let's take Predator, for instance. Predator was probably made for less money than what this movie was made for. I mean, and even when you're looking at things with inflation, like it probably was made for less money. But there are 3 moments in that movie where you're just like, bah, when you first see it. Total Recall, Terminator 2.
Total Recall's got so many in that one.
But that's what I mean, is that there's so many different moments where you're just like, wow. And this movie doesn't have any of those. It's not to say that the movie's bad, because I don't think it is, but it just doesn't have those moments where like the brain melting, every nerd in the world says to every other nerd in the world, you got to see this movie. Because
we're coming off of the Matrix at this point, you know? And so, and there's a lot of, thank God it's not like super, Matrix, drenched in everything, but there's enough slow moments and everything, but it never really lives up to that hype. There's that missing element in there, and like you said, there's that it factor that's just not in here that would make you go back to this movie and go like, oh, if you watch this movie for nothing else, there's these 3 moments in there that will blow your socks off. Everything else is pretty good. It's very serviceable, but there's these 3 moments that are going to make you be like, wow. And here's the thing. We are at a point at this juncture in 2001 where it is very commonplace to have a martial arts movie where there's another guy playing himself. We got, Double Impact. You've got
yes, you don't need to name them all off.
That's the only one.
Thing.
But Legend of the Drunken Master is obviously a big one. Jackie Chan himself.
Jackie Chan has played like multiple versions of himself in movies like 3 times,
and was supposed to play the short round character in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that's why he looks so much like Jackie Chan in that movie.
Oh wow, I think it's better without him in it.
I do too. I think ultimately it works so much better because man, he's so good. He's so good at that.
Oh man, I don't think that, because the moment that got me in that movie is that character when that character says, you think that I'm weak because I'm nice, but you don't understand that is actually my strength. Oh man, when he says that to her, I was like, oh man, it got me.
So
This movie
good. So good.
And I don't know if Jackie Chan could have pulled that off. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been different. It certainly would have been different. And ultimately, it's like this movie just kind of lacks that, like you said, that 1 or 2, 3 things in there that would make you go, bro, this is the thing that you got to recommend. And you can't look at that last shot and be like, that's the one. That's the thing that you got to recommend this on. You're like, really? You could just fast forward to that part of that chapter of the DVD, my friend.
Yeah.
and watch the end there and that be it, and not waste yourself, 90 minutes of a time ahead of time. So I don't know. All right, before we get to our Robin rating here, we have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this Jet Li film relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Hello, Mr. Stallone. Today I come to you with breaking news, so I hope you're sitting down. Carla Gugino is attractive.
Oh, yeah.
I've gone into depth on this topic before, so I won't delve into the lecherous side of my personality here today, but she is a very good-looking lady. She plays 2 roles in Jet Li's movie, The One, TK, and Massey Walsh, TK being the salt-of-the-earth veterinarian and Massey being the evil, angry bomb maker. I'll let you guess which one I'm more attracted to. She was born in Sarasota, Florida, which was also home to Randy Macho Man Savage, Martina Navratilova, and Jerry Springer. So if you've got something bad to say about that town, I dare you to say that in front of Bonesaw. I didn't really know this, but she works all the time. She's close friends with Connie Britton, and she's one of the actors in Mike Milligan's stable. So she's currently working on The Fall of the House of Usher. I think, like my fellow podcaster Adam Portress, I watch all of Milligan's projects because even if I don't like the movie or show, there's at least something going on where I think, well, that's something I never saw coming. Vampires, huh? Mm-hmm. Like most actresses roughly her age, she got her first jobs working on TV shows like Who's the Boss, Alf, and The Wonder Years, but she got her big break in, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but her big break came when she was the romantic lead in the Pauly Shore movie Son-in-Law.
Woo!
I have to admit, I've never seen that movie because I don't want my head to explode. She has a really strange career because most of the movies she's in makes me ask questions like, why is Carla Gugino in this? And as in the case of Mr. Popper's Penguins, why does her agent hate her? And did she have to audition for that role? In Spy Kids 3D, Carla would reprise her role as the mother Ingrid Cortez, playing a woman who would have been 17 years old when she had her first child. And I don't think a spy agency would look at a pregnant 17-year-old and think, yep, she's perfect. But what do I know? I'm just a simple man on a simple podcast. But on Spy Kids 3D, Carla would get the chance to work with you because you, Mr. Sylvester Stallone, played the villain of Toymaker in that movie. The story goes that you were offered the part and asked your kids if you should do it. But, this feels like one of those let's make up a story to make everyone think I'm an average guy kind of stories. So I ask you, is this story true? I also read that Robert Rodriguez's son is in this movie. His son, Rocket Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Rocket Rodriguez. Rocket has 2 brothers, Racer and Rebel Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. And I have to be honest here, Mr. Stallone. I'm not sure if I love their names or hate them, but it seems like an awful lot to live up to. And just from a logistics perspective, when you name your kids Rocket, Rebel, and Racer, there's no way you're getting their names right on the first try when you're trying to call out for one of them, right? I would think that if you're yelling for one of these boys, you've got to give yourself 3 or 4 tries before you get the right name. But we're getting way off topic here. Carla Gugino is a woman whose agent hates her, and she's really attractive, and she works all the time, and she worked with you on the movie Spy Kids 3D, which is an awful movie. Thank you for your time, sir. I hope to hear from you soon. Your good pal, Sweet Shawnsy from the internet.
I got no complaints about that dress at the beginning of this program.
My word, sir.
Goodness. What was I talking about again? Oh, yeah, Robin rating system. Sorry, I forgot to get that dress in my head for a moment. Here at Here Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, head on over to subreddit, reddit.com/r/Here Movie Podcast, right there at the top of the page. I will rock first on this one. I had not seen the one before. I thought that perhaps that I may have.
Oh, wow. That's surprising to me, man. I thought that you, for some reason, I thought that you had seen all of Jet Li's stuff.
No, I mean a good majority, but he's also one of those where it's just like that filmography is like, your arm's length long. So good luck.
Yeah.
Now I still haven't even made my way through all of the Once Upon a Time in China DVDs that I've got for the last Criterion sale, not even the current one. the last sale I haven't even gotten through those all yet, and yet I bought more on this sale. What's wrong with me? I have problems. It's okay. For me though, here's the thing. I like James Wan and Glenn Morgan, their writing and stuff and directing and everything. I don't know that James Wan was the correct person to direct this one. I wish he would have probably written it and someone else directed it. It's okay. It's okay. It's not terrible. Like, the idea is enough for me. I feel like I got to go like just a low Damian Wayne on this right there in the middle. I don't know that I'm coming back to it anytime, but it's not the worst. There's so many of this era that could be a lot worse than this, and thank God it's like, under 90 minutes. So it's a nice quick one.
It is a sweet 90-minute runtime, so that even if you're not enjoying it, it's over.
Yeah, you'll have enough of a time. You'll see some cool fight scenes and stuff. You'll giggle at how young Delroy Lindo and Jason Statham look and stuff like that. You'll go, man, everybody's Jet Li's still looking pretty good at this point. Everybody's awesome. So, but it's just in the middle. Low Damian Wayne for me on this one.
For me, it's middle of the road, like completely middle of the road. It's Damian Wayne middle. Like it is a Damian Wayne period, end of sentence.
Yeah.
I think that he, like, the thing about this movie is everything that we just mentioned, but there are performances in this movie where you're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Like, the guy who plays the chief of police in this show, in this movie, is great. He's great in this. But then you have, Jet Li kind of struggling through it for a bit.
Yeah. And there's moments where you're just like, oh, that's pretty good. And then others you're like, ooh, not so much.
Right. And like there's but there's also those little moments where you're like, oh, they took care here. Like, I mentioned the ring finger, but there's also the thing where he's up in the basement, or I'm sorry, up in the attic, and she asked the question like,
I like that.
Remember the bookstore? Like, that was a neat moment. That's good writing.
Yeah, and that's your James Wong right there, writing that stuff up for sure.
And so that's why it's middle of the road. It is not the most terrible thing you'll ever see, but it's not the best. It's literally middle of the road.
Yeah, you could do a whole heck of a lot worse. That is
It's not even vanilla.
Yeah, it's like it's vanilla, and you add a little chocolate sauce on the top. It's fun enough.
There you go.
Maybe not amazing, but you'll eat it. Well, that'll do it, everybody, for this episode of Here Movie Podcast. We're going to talk about what we're doing next week in just a moment. In the meantime, Sean, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
We have a podcast called 30 Questions, where we each week we review something new that is a weekly TV series, and we ask 30 questions of that show. I'm not sure what the next show we're doing is. When the three of us are back together again, we should probably have that discussion.
Yeah.
But if you like Marvel, if you like Star Wars, we got 30 questions about those. We
got stuff for you to look at, man. All kinds of things out there. I am going to be on, I'm not sure exactly when the show is going to air, but it should be fairly soon. My buddies over at the Great American Spook Show podcast had me on to talk about a movie from 2015 called Summer Camp, which takes place at a summer camp in Spain. You wouldn't think that, but it's all kinds of zombie rage monster kind of stuff and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll put a link for it in the show notes and everything, so you guys can check that out. That's coming out soon. That is it, everybody. Next week we're going to be talking about the last half of The Boys. We covered the first couple of episodes. a few weeks ago, and so once we get Bruce back in here and everything, we'll cover the entire season 3 of The Boys, talk about all of the crazy things that somehow we'll try to get on a family-friendly podcast in the best way that we possibly can. It's an uphill battle, but it's one that we're willing to fight for you guys. That'll do it, everybody. Join us next week for the rest of The Boys season 3. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet and the absent Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Hesitate to pursue it, but the gun you don't no question. Now the Holy Ghost in pressure. What I'm ready to do, take on. Staying on the top of the level. Said what I came to get me down the way. Try to tell them, say high. We got a religion. I could take my life. We got a religion. I could take my life. You can't be ready to use it if you hesitate to pursue it. Good and evil came from above. Death, peace, the corner of love. Their case and they can't come in. Girls on a face, a lot more sin. Straight on a boat till I break the road. I wanna lie till I break the cake, don't matter. I got a religion. I couldn't take my knife.